Hello everyone. In this video, I want to introduce you guys about the Landcover project. So here's an index about what is a Landcover, summary of each category, join rules of Landcover project, and the join rules of overpass, and the common tuple errors. So what is Landcover? So Landcover is how land is being used, and this is the examples that how we're going to work in our Landcover project, and this is a corresponding category that we need to draw in the Landcover project. So for the summary of Landcover projects category, there are two class categories. First is man-made, which are classified as building, road, railway, and pavement. Second one is natural, and it will be grass, bare land, forest, and water. And in the second class category, which is the detailed subdivision of the pavement, which will be divided into driveway, sidewalk, parking, swimming pool, sports ground, and pavement. And the join sequence will be from top to the bottom. So first, like in our regular project, we will do the building first, which is the building repair. Then we will do the stage 1, which will include road, railway, driveway, sidewalk. And after that, we will move to the stage 2, which is the man-made, which will include the parking, swimming pool, sports ground, and pavement. And stage 3 will be the natural stage, and we will draw for the grass, bare land, forest, and water. So in the Landcover project, there's no need to draw the second class category if not required, but draw its corresponding first category, which is the pavement. So for example, if it's not required to draw parking in the actual project, then draw the parking lot as pavement. So next, let's move to the drawing rules of the Landcover category. So let's take a look at building first. It's a building. So in the Landcover project, you will see the building is at its footprint location, and the building layer is a finished result. There's no need to edit. So you will now see the wall has been dragged, so the building will be on its footprint location. Then it's road. So road, guys, be careful. Road is a public road used for vehicles driving. So when you draw the road boundary to road curb. So in the example below, there are emergency parking, which is yellow arrow pointed, and the bike line, which is pink arrow pointed, on side of the road. So which need to be included into road. So at this red arrow pointed is a correct road boundary in this red image. So guys, be careful. You need to draw the road to the road curb. And in the rural area, so the dirt road with clear boundary, bright surface is required to draw as road. However, if you see a dirt road that doesn't have a clear boundary, doesn't have a bright surface, you don't need to draw them as road. Okay, just leave as nothing at all. And for the road, the isolation belt in the middle of the road is not for vehicles driving. So isolation belts includes a green belt, isolation belt with raised height. So in this example below, it's a type the isolation belt with raised height. So we need to mark as pavement. So as you can see, this isolation belt has clear different material compared to road, and it has a raised height, right? And so in this example, we need to exclude them from the road. And the green belt. So in this example below, this left image is a green belt which requires to mark as grass, and the right image is isolation belt with raised height which required to mark as pavement. So when you draw a road, remember to exclude them in your drawing. And be careful, these examples below are not isolation belt. They are just some markings on the road or highway isolation wall. Those don't have a height and they have the same material as the road. So in this example below, we need to include all of them into road, including the left waiting area, road markings, and the highway isolation wall, right? They are just, some of the paintings on the road. So include them into your road. So that's all for road. Road is actually quite easy. Just make sure, guys, draw the boundary to the road curb and draw the arc, draw the shape of the road smooth, and make sure that you exclude the raised height and the green belt for the isolation belt, and don't exclude those paintings on road, and just include them into road. Next is railway. So for railway, it's very easy actually. So there are clear and obvious rail and road bed for trains to drive. The only thing we need to pay attention is the road bed is required to draw as railway. So as you can see, the road bed on the side of the rail has been captured as railway in the project. So next one is the driveway of the pavement, second class category. So this is probably the most confusing part that a lot of people have the common errors from the project, and I want you guys to learn this carefully. And if you have any question, please, during your work, you can refer to the examples below and find it, refer to the to this training document, and also you can ask your questions about from your team leaders. So what is driveway? So driveway, remember the definition, is a path for vehicles and connecting road to residential building, commercial area, industrial area, and parking lot, etc. The main material is concrete or asphalt and is impermeable, man-made land. So this definition will give you such ideas. First, the driveway has to be connected with road to a residential building or commercial area or industrial area or parking lot. And second is the material has to be concrete or asphalt. If there is only dirt or bare land and you don't see the concrete or asphalt, then you don't need to draw it as driveway. So the driveway types. There is driveway, which is also known as short driveway, commonly shown in front of residential building, entrance of parking lot. And there's also a long driveway, commonly shown in commercial area, industrial area, or rural area. And the common things for driveway, usually we can see from residential area, commercial area, industrial area, and rural area. So let's move to the real example. So in this one, the scene one is residential area. It's the driveway connecting road to residential building. So in the actual project, you need to press F3 to turn off sidewalk and fix driveway first. Then press F3 again to fix the sidewalk, which will turn off the driveway. Lastly, you can turn on the driveway and the sidewalk to check the overall quality. So this pavement that leads to the grass in the backyard, which is pointed by the pink arrow, this one, is used for vehicles to drive and park at the side of the building. So you need to draw them as driveway. So this is very clear. And when you draw the driveway of this residential building, make sure you follow the shape of the concrete area. And then let's move to the scene 2 in the commercial area. So the commercial area, the driveway is connecting road to commercial area and the parking lot. So including two types, long driveway and short driveway. The definition of commercial area. They are large commercial buildings surrounded by multiple parking lots and or paved ground. So usually the public road, as shown in the red line, separates a whole block of commercial area. So in the commercial area, we need to learn about the definition for long driveway. So it's usually inside the commercial area. It has linear character, very like public road, but don't draw as road. So here we have brought up a very new definition, which is a linear character. Let's learn about the linear character. What is it? So definition of a linear character. First, there are obvious boundaries at the side of the driveway. So what is an obvious boundary? Means it has different material than the driveway. So including grass boundary, flower bed boundary, building boundary, wall boundary, etc. And sometimes there is a single row parking. Guys, be careful with that. So sometimes there's a single row parking between the driveway and the boundary, and and this is also considered as a boundary. But if you see a double row parking between the driveway and the boundary, then that is not a driveway. Okay, only a single row parking between the driveway and the boundary, we can take this as part of the boundary and draw the path in the middle as long driveway. Second definition for linear character is the length is relatively long. Okay, so there are two types of the linear character that we will see for the long driveway. Type 1 is the obvious boundary along the two sides of driveway. This will be shown as boundary, driveway, and boundary type. Type 2, as I have said, so there are obvious boundaries along the two sides of driveway, and there is a single row parking between the driveway and the boundary. This will show as boundary, single row parking, driveway, single row parking, and boundary. So if this part of single row parking or this part of single row parking is double row parking instead of single row parking, then we don't draw this as driveway. Okay, we leave this whole area as parking. Second, the short driveway. This driveway connecting road to commercial area, parking lot, with relatively short length, and this kind of driveway is like the shape of the skirt or apron. When there is no long driveway with obvious linear character inside the commercial area, so we draw the short driveway at the entrance of the commercial area. So let's take a look of, after we learn this definition, then we move to the example of the picture of what we will see from the project, and to emphasize this definition into our work. So as we have talked about definition of the character, we can see that from this screenshot, we can see that from here we can see the grass boundary, and from here we can see the grass boundary as well, right? And from here this is also grass boundary, and from here we can see there's a flower bed boundary, and from here there's a grass boundary, there's a flower bed boundary, and there's also grass boundary on these two sides. So in this example, how we will draw the long driveway. So we will start from here because we have the relatively long length, and we also have the boundary on the two sides. Then we move to here. As we can see, we have the grass boundary on each two sides. Then we will keep drawing the long driveway all the way to the road, right? This is a public road, and as you can see, we have the boundary on each two sides. Then let's move to here. We have a building and a grass boundary, and we have a flower boundary on this side, so which means this is also a long driveway. And from here we can see there's a grass boundary and a flower bed boundary, and it's also relatively long. So in this case, we can continue the long driveway all the way to here. And up there, right, we still have the grass boundary and a flower boundary, so which means this is also considered as a long driveway. Down there is grass boundary on each two sides, so we can draw a long driveway all the way to down there. All right, and for here as well, because we have grass boundary on here, and grass boundary on here. And remember, this is single row parking on the two sides, so which means this can be treated as a long driveway. All right, and for here as well, but it's blocked by this label, then we will skip it. And but however, we cannot draw the long driveway all the way to here. Why? It's because this is double row parking, right? So this cannot, become the pattern of the boundary single row parking, driveway single row parking, and boundary. So this is not long driveway. Okay, so this is how the long driveway should be, fit into the definition of the linear character. And next, let's take a look of the finished result. As you can see, all the the orange color area is the long driveway area, and we have seen is the linear character fits the definition perfectly, right? Boundary on each two sides and a relatively long side. So guys, remember the boundary, driveway, boundary type, and also this one, boundary, single row parking, driveway, single row parking, and boundary type. So this is the finished result, and we can always refer to this one about where we have drawn and where we haven't drawn. Whenever you have questions about your task in real project. So as you can see here, this is a type 2 boundary that we have talking about, right? So in this example, as we can see, we have a boundary, single row parking, and boundary. So what's in the inside is a driveway. And starting from here as well. So we have a boundary, on the other side, and we have single row parking on one side, and other side we don't have a single row parking. So this fits the definition as well. So this is a type 2 long driveway. Okay, so next let's take a look more of the example. So consider here, this is a wall, all right? Wall is another type of the boundary, so we're required to draw the long driveway here, right? So red arrow pointed is a wall, and the building on both sides become the two linear characters. So this will be drawn as 2 long driveway at here. And the one down here, as you can see, we have grass boundary and it's relatively long. So we can draw this as a long boundary as well, long driveway as well. And this one, so very typical type 2 long driveway type, right? So boundary, single row parking, long driveway, single row parking, and boundary. So each of this the long driveway fits to the type 2 of the definition perfectly. So we have the boundary, single row parking, long driveway, single row parking, and boundary. So this is a very perfect result. And this one, right? So this is a wrong example that we don't draw for here. It's because this is double row parking, and we don't have a single row parking here. We don't have a boundary, so we just leave this whole area as parking. But remember, for here and here, we need to draw as short driveway, right? It's it's still connecting this parking lot to the long driveway. And what we can see here is this area, right? Even though it seems like fits definition of the linear character, however, this doesn't actually, because it's not long enough. It's pretty wide. It's really wide, and even though it has a boundary, but this is too wide, which doesn't fit definition of linear character. So we need to draw the whole area as parking lot. So when you think about the linear character, we need to think linear is like a line, and all that doesn't look like a line, look like a block or rectangle, then it doesn't fit definition of linear character. And this one as well, right? It's too wide, and it's better to draw the whole area as parking, and this 2 entrance as driveway. All right, let's continue, right? Same thing here. Even though we have a boundary and single row parking here, but it's too wide and it's not long enough to be a long driveway. So it's better to draw this whole area as parking. All right, same thing here. This is a relatively short length, and so this kind of driveway we just draw on the entrance. So draw the shape of a skirt or apron, and don't draw the long driveway to here because we don't have a single row parking and boundary type. It's all double row parking, so it doesn't fit definition of long driveway. All right, let's continue. So as we can see, that's what I have talked about, right? So the driveway boundary is required to keep the same line as a flower bed on the entrance. So make sure it's natural and beautiful. So by drawing like this, the shape of the parking will look very beautiful, will be in the shape of the rectangle. All right, and make sure that those entrance on the near the flower bed is on the same line, and they should be marked as short driveway. And for the industrial area, so usually in the industrial area, there are no parking line in the industrial area, but there are truck or container parked. So the pink arrow pointed line has linear character, so it is required to draw as long driveway. So let's take analysis of how this has a linear character. First, starting from here, is connecting to the road to this industrial area, right? And we have a grass boundary on both sides, and the building boundary, single row parking, and grass boundary on either side. So in this example, this lane here can fit the definition of linear character, right? And this one as well. We have a grass boundary and building boundary, single row parking, and grass boundary. So what's inside in the middle is the long driveway. So this is the finished result. All right. So whenever you get confused, guys, you can take analysis and refer to this example about when and how to draw the long driveway in the industrial area. And more examples, right? The pink arrow pointed lane has a linear character, right? It's long. It also has the boundary with grass and building, so we can draw it as long driveway. However, we don't draw extended to here, right? Because it's all block here. It's pretty rectangle here, so we don't need to draw all the way to this parking lot. And the yellow arrow pointed area, it has linear character and it ends at the entrance of the paved ground. So we just draw this as short driveway. Okay, and just follow this. Whenever there's a linear character, it's long, then draw as long driveway. And when this is short and doesn't lead to a, when it's not long enough, then we draw as short driveway. And in the rural area, the lane connecting public road to private residential building usually is longer than the driveway in urban residential building. All right, the length of the long driveway is long. So, and the fork in the long driveway is required to draw as short driveway. So guys, remember the fork, okay, only the fork that in the long driveway is required to draw as short driveway. Like this one, it can be divided into two, and we need to draw this as short driveway. All right, and this one, because we don't have a fork here, so in this example, we don't draw as short driveway. Right? Whenever there's a fork, we need to draw this as a short driveway connecting to the building. But when there's no fork, it's just a single line of the long driveway, then don't draw a short driveway on top of it. So that's basically everything about the driveway. There are different things and there are different types. So this is a big part. I want everything to review this carefully and ask questions if you are not sure. And whenever you have questions, you can always refer to this training document to get your answers explained. So next, let's move to the sidewalk. Sidewalk is a long and narrow public paved walkway or trail for people and bicycle to pass, and is mainly located at both sides and is parallel of road or in a large grass area, for example, in the public park or golf area. So guys, pay attention that we only need to draw the area with same material for people to walk at the entrance of the road as sidewalk. All right, so for example, in the circled area below, like this one here, right? This is the beginning of the sidewalk. It's connecting to the road and draw all the way to there. So this one, we need to make sure that the driveway, is connected. The sidewalk is connected and it's very smooth. The shape is very smooth, and we also need to pay attention to the connectivity, which is driveway is greater than the side, and it's greater than the pavement. So when drawing the intersections of driveway and sidewalk, we need to ensure the connectivity of driveway first, and you can refer to the context of driveway previously, but make sure that the driveway is overlapped with the sidewalk whenever there is overlap, whenever it intersects. Next, let's see the sidewalk. All right, so in this example, in the pink arrow pointed, so this is narrow than the road surface, right? And so we need to draw it as sidewalk, and it's in the light purple color. So next is a sidewalk as well. The sidewalk in the common area or downtown, in the commercial area or downtown, usually surrounds the block completely and by the side of the road closely. So guys, even though, and the Y is relatively long. So even though, as you can see, these, red, yellow arrow pointed area, this is blocked by the shadow from the tall building. And we can see the red arrow and the blue arrow, they are sidewalk, right? So even though we cannot see the sidewalk under the block shadow pointed by the blue arrow, we still need to draw it based on our best guessing and reasonable guessing to draw it completely, make sure they are all connected. So this is a correct result, example result of how the sidewalk should be drawn in the commercial area when it's blocked. So this same logic can apply to residential area. Some of the sidewalk may be blocked by trees, and we can see there are two sides of the sidewalk, and the sidewalk in the middle is blocked. In this example, we still need to connect them based on our guessing. And then let's continue to the parking. Parking is also a bit different, and it's a little bit challenging to understand. And let's take a look together. Parking is used for vehicles to park with clear parking lines in most cases. So there are three types of parking. First is just parking, which is a large area of ground for vehicles to park, and there are clear parking lines or well-parked vehicles in most cases. And there's outside parking, that is parking that is built on the outside of the road with clear parking lines. And there's also inside parking, that is built on the inside of the road and has to have clear parking lines. All right, after we understand the three types of parking, then we can move to the actual examples of what we see the parking in our project. So first is a ground parking. It's a large area of ground for vehicles to park. As you can see, there are clear parking lines and there are well-parked vehicles in most cases. So be careful that the flower bed in the ground parking, this needs to be excluded and it's required to draw its corresponding category. So for example, in this example below, the flower bed has been drawn as grass. And then it's ground parking in the industrial area. Even though there's no clear lines comparing to this one, right? No clear parking lines, but we can still see the well-parked cars. So in this example, all those well-parked cars area needs to be drawn as parking. So then this is outside parking, a parking that is built on outside of the road or driveway, with clear parking lines in most cases. So the principle to drawing such thing for such outside parking is to draw a straight line from the road curb from the both sides, the yellow arrow pointed, and this will be the boundary for parking and road. And then we need to keep the integrity of road boundary first. So we need to keep the road boundary smooth and straight. Then the rest area could be the outside parking. So what it means is we need to make sure the road has a very smooth and reasonable and beautiful boundary. Then we can consider about the outside parking. Also, the outside parking happens along the long driveway. So the parking that is along the two sides of the outside parking, along the long driveway, like this example we have talked before. So this parking area should be drawn as outside parking. And also we need to make sure the shape of the long driveway is reasonable and beautiful. And then is this example. This outside parking is produced from the road surface, which is parked of cars. Even there's no parking, we still need to draw as parking. All right, even though there's no parking lanes, we still need to draw as parking. So same thing, when you draw a straight line from the road curb from both sides and make sure the road shape is reasonable and natural, then we can draw this part as outside parking. Then let's move to the inside parking. So inside parking, first, before we start, we need to remember that inside parking is still road, okay? It's still road, but because there is painted parking lines on the road, so we need to cut this part out and be an overpass with road. So which means this inside parking should be road first, and then it has another function which is parking. So remember, first it has to have clear parking lines. All right, and second, we need to draw the overlap with road, like this one. And number 3, very important, we only draw the area of this inside parking that is used for vehicles to park. So those lines that are not used for cars to park, don't draw them, don't include them into inside parking. Okay, so I hope you guys can understand and read this carefully. All right, inside parking only exists on the inside of road surface, and there's only outside parking in the long driveway. So distinguish them and make sure you draw this inside parking and mark the overpass correctly. So next, let's move to the swimming pool. It's very easy now. The swimming pool is only to draw along the water boundary, and swimming pools requires to draw along the boundary. All right, don't capture pavement. Swimming pool without water also requires to draw a swimming pool. So some examples for you to see. So for those, round swimming pool, we need to draw the whole circle area as swimming pool. Then it's a sports ground. So including each type of sports field. So we need to draw along the boundary of field. Most cases belong to the pavement first class category, all right? Then in this one, if we require to draw a sports ground, then draw a sports ground. And for the sports ground, we also need to be careful in one case, which is the baseball field. So the baseball field is consisted of infield and outfield. So infield usually is dirt and outfield is grass. So in the examples below, the baseball field, yellow arrow pointed, has a clear boundary, right? And the baseball field, red arrow pointed, has no clear boundary. But based on the reasonable conducting and gassing for the outfield boundary, it is required to draw the shape of sector on the red image. So we can follow what we draw for this yellow arrow pointed baseball field and then copy it to this red arrow pointed baseball field. So draw, and also need to pay attention that draw the grandstand as building. The sector boundary of field is required to draw as a line between the infield and the grandstand. So in this example, the boundary of this baseball field is between this infield and this grandstand. So this whole area should be like this. All right, and even though the boundary is not clear enough, we can still copy and draw this area as a sector. Next is a pavement. So pavement is paved ground by common construction materials such as asphalt, concrete, or gravel. This is a function unspecified paved ground. So except driveway, sidewalk, parking, swimming pool, sports field, everything else can be drawn as pavement. So it's very easy. Just draw along the boundary of paved ground. And make sure, guys, all those backyard paved ground, remember to draw them as pavement and follow the shape of this backyard carefully. Next is a natural land cover stuff. It's grass. First is grass. So grass is dwarfed vegetation that appears in patches, looks uniform, flat, and has no obvious height. Pay attention that because of seasonal change or image quality, sometimes grass looks like bare land. So therefore, in this example, in this case, it's correct to draw both categories, and it's required to draw grass in one piece, which means we don't need to draw the single trees in grass. All right, so unless specified. So in this example, as you can see, those single trees have not been excluded, and we draw the whole area as grass. Then, as we can see here, right, in this residential area, the yards of the building are covered by grass, right, usually, but the yards of those unfinished buildings are covered by bare land. So the green arrow pointed area is grass with dark green and uneven color, and the yellow arrow pointed area is bare land with earth yellow color. And then is a category of bare land. So bare land without vegetation covered usually is earth yellow, uneven color, rough, and permeable surface. And because of seasonal change, or image quality as well, so the grass will look like bare land. So it's okay, correct to draw both categories either. All right. So more examples. So the bare land, sometimes the middle part will look, could be grass, but it's not very clear. So it's okay to draw the whole area as bare land. Forest. So forest is, it's also very obvious, right? We can tell from the image very easily. So, but just pay attention that don't need to draw the small pieces of grass or bare land in the large forest, which is same thing as we don't draw the single trees in grass or bare land. And the forest that is equal or greater than 5 trees. So it's a large area of trees. Last one is the water. So for water, we need to draw along the boundary of the natural water body, such as river, lake, or ocean. All right, so just pay attention that follow the boundary of real bank to draw, and there's no need, don't follow the edge of trees or shadow or any other unrelated object that is on the water. So when it's blocked, make your reasonable guessing to draw the shape of water reasonably and beautifully. So that's all for our category of drawing rules for the Landcover category. So next, let's move to the overlapping classes drawing rules. So the overlap rule is actually also very easy. That because of Landcover projects requires to capture the actual use of land, and some land categories have the relationship between the upper and lower layer. So for example, the viaducts, bridges, etc. So we are required to draw the overlap for those cases. So in this one, the example below is a bridge, which is a road category. And the pink arrow pointed is the shadow from the height of the bridge, right? And it shows the water below. And the yellow arrow pointed has a clear separate line, which is a red line at here, which is the structural boundary of bridge. So in this case, the upper and lower land cover between these two red lines is required to draw overlap or required to draw the overpass. So in this example, as we can see, the result of the overpass, how it's been drawn. So the yellow circle area is the overlap of highway and water. The yellow arrow pointed area is the overlap of highway and grass, forest, and sidewalk. And it also requires to take reasonable conduction for the features under the bridge. So such as the sidewalk should be connected. And so the overlapped area requires to mark as overpass. So which is a red, dash line in the image. And you can refer to the video of how to draw the overpass in the video. Also, in this one, it's a very good example that we can see. So in the red arrow pointed, red image, the pointed sidewalk, at here, right? It has no height. It has no height. It just, on the grass. So we don't need to draw the overlap with grass. However, the yellow arrow pointed sidewalk has water underneath, so which requires to draw overlap for this water overpass. And this one, it just required to draw the overpass for the intersection of railway and road, right? Even though, this is like on the same surface, but this part, they can be railway to draw, and also the cars can draw around. cars can draw on top of it. So it has two functions. Something for the sidewalk. So we need to draw the overpass for this intersection. Okay, so because it has two functions, one is for cars to drive, one is for railway to drive, or the railway to drive or the sidewalk for pedestrian to walk. So it has two functions, and we need to draw the overpass for this example. And lastly, it's about the overlap rule. And there's the same category overlap. In this example below, it's a viaduct. The yellow arrow pointed is the road for both up and down land cover. So it's the same category. So in this example, we just need to draw as road overlap. All right, so we don't need to draw the overpass, mark overpass for it. We just need to cut this part out and draw this as a road overlap category. And the same thing for the driveway overlap, sidewalk overlap, and the railway overlap. The red arrow pointed both up and down land cover is road and sidewalk. So it requires to draw overlap normally. Okay, you need to mark this as overpass. So that's all for this land cover project overview introduction. And I hope you guys understand how it's done basically. Then we can take and in next video, I'm going to introduce you guys about how to work in the software of this new land cover project. Right? Goodbye, guys.